This is Open Door with Vince Robinson. In-depth conversations with people who are making a difference in the lives of others here and around the world. Culture is at the heart of who you are. Know your culture, find yourself on Open Door with Vince Robinson.
Grand Dawn and Great Rising, Cleveland, Ohio, and the rest of the world. Welcome to another edition of Open Door with Vince Robinson. My guest this morning is TaSanta Smith, and she is the owner and operator of Nursery, Plants and Herbs. She is someone who can rescue plants and cultivate plants, and she sells plants. So she's also an earth sign, which I find interesting. Being an earth sign and just having that affinity to the earth probably puts her in a position to have a green thumb. Welcome to Open Door with Vince Robinson, TaSanta Smith.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
All right, and you're doing okay today?
I am. It's a great day.
All right. So what we do with this show many times is we give folks an opportunity to tell their history. And one of the reasons that I do this is because so many times we don't. You know, we might be privileged to be on a news report or something, and they'll give us a 20-second sound bite, you know, and our whole life is wrapped up in 2 or 3 sentences. So this is an opportunity to stretch out and tell folks who you are and what you're all about. So many of the folks that I interview are actually native Clevelanders. Are you a native Clevelander?
I am. I was born and raised in Cleveland, grew up in East Cleveland, and I live in Shaker Heights.
Okay. So you live up on the hill.
I do.
Okay. So tell us about your trajectory. You went to what schools and you ended up in college, I imagine?
I did. So I went to Shaw High School, graduated in 2001. I went on and spent time at University of Toledo, but I really took off when I started thinking about nursing. So I went to nursing school shortly after that, and I've been a nurse for 7 years now.
Okay, so a nurse and you have a nursery. How ironic is that?
It is. It is ironic. I've been working very hard being a nurse, of course, with university hospitals for quite some time, and spending time through nursing is very stressful. So it kind of like pushed me into a habit, and that was just basically buying houseplants. And it started with one plant for my bedroom for my birthday, I think. And it all kind of started there.
Okay. So as you were studying to be a nurse, and I know you have to take classes in biology and you probably chemistry, because I know nurses go through the nursing school and that chemistry is not something that they really love to do. But
no, it's not.
What did nursing teach you about plants?
That's a great question. Well, I've always been a nerd. I get made fun of for being a geek. I really enjoyed the book part of nursing when nursing school. I did very well in my science programs, anatomy and physiology, pharmacology overall. I did fairly well. Even prior to that, just in childhood, just having the science experiment kits and doing that with my younger brother, and my mom really pushed that. I just really like experimenting. And then nursing is a practice. And I really get into it. What's wrong with my patients? Why are they sick? What can I do today during these 12 hours to help them have a better day, or to figure out why they're not stable? How can I communicate that to the doctor? So just that critical thinking alone, I already had the passion to figure something out, to nurture, to take care of something. And so with that mindset, it really helps me to be able to save a plant. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the same things. Why is this plant looking sad? Well, why is it turning brown? Well, what I'm going to do about it? So it kind of goes together. So by me having that nurturing spirit, I automatically wanted to take care of my plants. And what did I do to make them grow faster? You know what I mean? Like, that's exciting. And I can kind of compare that to nursing, because in the acute setting of nursing, you know, me taking care of patients and I'm only getting to know them for a week and then they're off to something else and I never see them again. Well, during COVID, I had the opposite experience. I took care of COVID patients, and we rehabilitate them. We give them all the love and all the attention we need. At the same time, scared. You know what I mean? That we're going to get sick, but you don't think about that. You just try to give them your all. So my first assessed COVID story, I ran into a patient out in public, and she was walking and she was shopping, and I seen that lady and cried. And now we're still friends years later on Facebook and keep in touch. So that gratification is awesome. So when I have a plant now that's, almost dead and looking bad, I'm like, oh, I might as well throw it away. But the nurturing side of TaSanta is like, no, let me see if I could bring this plant back to life. And so I just found myself doing that. I'll see a plant in Target or Home Depot, or CVS is known to have crappy plants. So I will grab this, like, can I get this for $1? I'll go home, nurture it. And I have a lot of rehabilitated plants around my house. And, that's the kind of connection from nursing and me having a green thumb.
Mm-hmm. So you have the Shaker Heights Clinic for plants.
I do. I really do.
Okay.
Even like people are starting to ask me, hey, you know what? I don't know what to do with this plant. Can you just take it? I was doing that even before I established Next Nursery.
Okay. I want to rewind a little bit and talk
Sure.
to you about your motivation for nursing and what that experience was, your journey to becoming a nurse, because I really think that it's integral to our conversation. Mm-hmm. What was it about nursing that attracted you to that field?
Well, originally, I didn't care anything about nursing. As a young adult coming out of high school, I was so fixated on English education. Still love English, but that was my thing. Let me go to a 4-year university. Let me become an English teacher. Well, in the midst of that, I started spending time with more people. I always was a family girl, spending time with my grandparents and my great-grandmother and my parents and everything like that. But my first time experience sickness, I should say, up close and personal, was with my great-grandmother. So if I was, let's say I was 22 maybe, and she had pancreatic cancer, I didn't know nothing about nothing health-wise. All I knew was my great-grandmother that I loved so much stopped eating. She still had a right mind, but she just didn't want to eat anymore. And then, of course, the weight began to drop off, and, the dying process began. So that was very interesting to me. Of course, heartbreaking. But it's like, wow, this is really happening. And I was still in University of Toledo at the time, taking up English education. But every time I came home, I'm watching my grandmother go through the dying process, not knowing it was the dying process at the time. But as I look back on it, that's exactly what was happening. And so I would care for her, trying to feed her something that she wasn't eating. And so just the whole caring for my great grandmother, I think that kind of triggered something. So shortly after that, she did pass away, and this was like, I enjoyed taking care of her. I wasn't her primary caregiver because I have a large family of nurses and they were already on top of it. But just me being a young woman, I did my little fair share, and I was like, wow, like I really was helping taking care of her, and actually been doing it. Helping her with bathing and stuff like that. I guess when you were, a younger person, like in high school, I would help her with her bed baths. You know what I mean? And it was nothing to me. It's just me taking care of my great grandmother. But what happened after that? So after that, I just needed work. And my auntie Sheila, she plays a big part in my life. I always had her same jobs. So she'll say, oh, Nook. Nook, oh, by the way, is my childhood name. So that's where Nook's actually come from. Anywho, she'd say, Nook, you looking for a job? You're here for the summer. Here, you could work at this place. So it kind of just me started out working in a group home, helping MRDD. And I just did it because it was work. But then I realized I like doing this. You know what I mean? Like, I like helping people eat. I wasn't licensed or anything, like a licensed nursing assistant. I was just a caregiver at the time, and I enjoyed it. So just over time, I became a mom. I think at the age of 24. And I was like, oh, shoot, I'm not done with my English degree. I only had a few more classes to go, but I need money. So my aunt was like, girl, why don't you go to nursing school? And I was like, nursing school? Really? She was like, yeah, you could go to my school actually that I went to. And I was like, okay. Like, okay. So from the group homes, I started working in an assisted living facility, and that just did it. It reminded me of taking care of thousands of grandmothers. It was an assisted living facility that was predominantly Black. So my patients just remind me of my family. And even still, I wasn't licensed then. I was just a caregiver. But I was like, I could do this. I could do this on a nursing, end of it, not just helping them throughout the day with their ADLs and, stuff like that. But it became like almost a love. Like I became their family working at this place. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to nursing school because not only do I have to provide for my new daughter, I like it. So that's exactly what I did. I stayed working at that assisted living facility, actually is here in Shaker. And they became my family, and I went to nursing school. And then now they were used to me giving them baths, and I do love that. I just love taking care of them and making them feel good. So they would be like, so you're my nurse now? And I'm like, yeah, I'm your nurse now. They was like, so you're not going to be here? Are you going to bathe me later? So I found myself doing my nursing part of my job, with the medicine and assessments. And then if I had spare time, I'm still getting these ladies cleaned up and dressed up, smelling good and feeling good for the day. So that's how I really that's how I got into nursing. And it's just took off since then.
That's quite a pivot to go from having an idea of being an English teacher somewhere.
I know.
to taking care of folks. But it seems to me that you discovered your purpose.
And I think that's just that. And now being me being a mother of a 16-year-old, I want to pressure her, like, what do you want to do when you grow up? You need to think about college. But I have to think about it. It's time to stop. You spent 4 years at University of Toledo studying English, and you turned out to be a travel nurse now. You know what I mean? So it's just, I guess through life, you just start learning what's for you. And that's exactly what happened. I found my purpose.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it's possible for your daughter at 16 to have any idea of what her purpose is?
I think it may be possible. She could be different than I am. But I know she's trying to figure it out. She come from a family full of nurses. She actually traveled with me during the pandemic. So that's all she know. And so she says, Mommy, I want to become a nurse. But now she's getting older and she's starting to do more things in high school like Sankofa with the performing arts. And so now she's saying, Mom, I don't think nursing may be for me. Of course, it breaks my heart, but I can only support her because it may not be for her right now, or maybe never.
Yes. Well, our parents have been intentional about providing a foundation for us to be successful in life. And, many times our parents buy into that whole idea that, you should get an education,
right,
get a job, work the job, and life is okay when you do that. But sometimes it's really important to pursue what it is that rewards you in life as opposed to what puts money in your pocket. And then the real key is finding something that allows you to do what you love and get paid at the same time, because then you don't look at it as work. We're going to talk about your work. We're going to talk about your nursery, and we're also going to talk to you about your career as a traveling nurse and how you've been able to navigate what we call the pandemic and may possibly face in the future. We'll see if that happens or not. But we're going to get more from TaSanta Smith, a.k.a. Nook, when we get back. This is Open Door with Vince Robinson on 95.9 FM WOVU, Burton Bell Car Community Radio. Back in a minute.
Ohio is our home, and it's full of family we're proud to care for. With more than 200 locations, Cleveland Clinic is growing to bring world-class care to your community. From Canton to Avon, and coming soon to Mentor. Whether it's sniffles and sneezes, or something more serious, big or small, we're always near you. For every care in the world. Schedule your care today at clevelandclinic.org/access.
This message was brought to you by WOVU 95.9 FM, Burton Bell Car Community Radio.
I chose Tri-C because they have great opportunities as far as academics mixing with internships. I started meeting people right away who I clicked with. And when I graduated, I received a full ride to Cleveland State and was able to start here as a junior. My name is Rebecca Groth. I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
Start now at tri-c.edu.
This message was brought to you by WOVU 95.9 FM at Burton Bear Card Community Radio Station.
We're back.
Oh, this is so great.
Open Door with Vince Robinson on 95.9 FM WOVU. And my guest is Nook. And she's one of those folks who can rescue a plant. You know, I got some work for you because somebody gave me a spider plant last year and my plant gave up the ghost. You know, I think I may have been gone for a few days or, you know, and she didn't get the water that she needed or something jumped into her pot and started moving things around and she didn't appreciate it. But at any rate, she gave up the ghost. So I'm going to have to replace this plant. And you said something else that occurred to me that's really important. And you said you had one plant that you had in your bedroom. Now, I have a snake plant. And I hear that snake plants are really good for cleaning the air and purifying it and all that. So I'm thinking that I want to get a plant stand and I want to migrate some plants into my bedroom. And then, you know, when I take these trips around the world, I'll just have to find somebody that will come in and water for me. But at any rate, back to TaSanta and the traveling nurse piece. You told me in a pre-interview that you had actually been in Wisconsin for 3 months. So I'm assuming that was a nursing assignment. Talk to us about what it's like to be a nurse and to be on the road and also let us know about how economically advantageous it might be for you.
Okay, cool. Well, as you said, that I am a travel nurse, and I just came back from a 3-month assignment in Wisconsin, Green Bay. This is about my 3rd year doing this travel. It started out, actually started before the pandemic, but I really started hitting it hard during the pandemic. So my first 3-month assignment was in California. It really kind of started there back in 2021. But it's really interesting. It's rewarding. I'm going to start with the pros. It's rewarding on the strength that I'm actually blessing somebody else that's not here in my community, that I'm actually getting to spread my love across the United States. I'm leaving with a group of people knowing who TaSanta was, how I do things, how I work. And of course, for my patients, I get to love on them. You know, of course, I loved my patients, my very first patients here in Shaker Heights. But to love on other culture of people, that was just rewarding. The Mexicans that I took care of in California, I know Espanol, but not a whole lot, but enough to take care of someone. So even though I could not speak fluently in Spanish, but I loved on them patients as I did as the ones here in Shaker Heights. They can feel my warm spirit, even though they didn't know what the hell I was saying. But they knew I was a good person, and they knew they felt good when I came in and when I left. And my coworkers, I'm a fun, bubbly person. I'm goofy, so they love seeing me coming because they know they're about to laugh the rest of the shift or eat the rest of the shift. So just being able to spread my love, not just here in our community, but just across the U.S. is very nice. Also, just learning how other people live. You know, I'm going to be honest, being in Green Bay, Wisconsin was a bit of a culture shock. It really was. I am used to working with different people of different walks of life, but having to go into a place that's not used to the tall black nurse with the sister locks. You know, they probably don't see a lot of people like me in just that area where they live at, but they got to know what it is to work with such a woman. And the cons, well, having to deal with being culture shock, they was shocking, you know, when I come in, because it's just, okay, wow, we got the new tall black nurse with the curly locks, you know, like how is she going to act? They probably stereotype me and I'm sure other places have too. But then they realize, wow, she's human and she's funny. We're all the same. You know what I mean? So sometimes ice could be thicker to break in certain areas of our country. And it's such a shame to say because it's 2023 and we still fighting that battle. But it's kind of cool because they realize they're not used to working with black nurses or black women, and we're all not angry, and we actually are cool, you know. So working with those women and men, I was able to break bread with them because I bring my same love everywhere. I cook for them. I bring them food. If I'm eating, you're eating, and they got a chance to see what my food tastes like, and so on and so forth. As far as the patients, they're learning that this person came all the way from Cleveland, to come, help take care of them. And the best thing about that is they're thankful. Majority of the people that realize, like, wow, you came all the way to Wisconsin to take care of us. How come you did that? They like, I'm sure the money is good. Well, yeah, the money is great. It is, and it helps me support my family. But, in tough times, like when a job get really tough, you be thinking like, okay, I'm getting paid to do what I'm supposed to do here. Let's stick it out. Let's make it work. And a great thing about it is it's temporary because I get to return back home if I want to. You have some nurses that actually will stay abroad for a year or 8 months or so, but my family needs me and I need them. So the 3 months was quite enough. So that's why I actually enjoy it.
Yes. It's interesting that you talk about the cultural differences, and I'm sure you being tall probably put you in a precarious situation too. I've had conversations. One person I can think of right now, she's about 6'4", 6'3", 6'4", maybe 6'5". She's a tall sister. And she talked about how in life, certain times she felt compelled to try to shrink herself.
Aww.
Because
Yeah.
people are threatened, when you might be towering over them or whatever. And then on top of that, you have a natural hairstyle, and there's always this pressure for us to conform to what looks good to them. And of course, they don't understand the whole piece about textured hair. No. How do you deal with having to, I guess, adjust yourself to make other folks feel comfortable with who and what you are?
That's a good question. Well, I'm going to start with saying it's very frustrating at first because I'm not perfect. I talk about the love I spread, but I also get very irritated. It's irritating as a woman. I'm coming to another woman and another nurse, and I'm asking for help or just where things are in their building, because it's like being a travel nurse. The best way I can say it is like being in someone else's kitchen. You know how to cook, you just don't know where nothing is. So I'm always having to ask questions. And so how do I deal with, so the lady I asked to help me at the time, instead of looking me in my face, she's looking at my hair. Okay. Like, hello, I'm here. Like, I'm asking you a question, but you're still stuck on my hair. So it get irritating. But one time I was somewhere else and they kept looking at my hair. And right before I said something, they said, oh my gosh, look at your hair. Can I touch it? And I'm not one of them sisters to be like, oh no, you can't touch my hair. I said, you know what? You can. These are micro locks. I'm just starting them out. They was like, oh my God, they're so cute and curly. And it kind of like brightens me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't try to conform to them or feel like I need to wear my hair in a tight bun. So, I don't have a fro or something like that. If I didn't have my locks, I have my puff, my high puff. I always wear my puff. But I just kind of talked to him about it. So after a while, that girl who stared at my hair for so long while I'm trying to ask her for help, we ended up really connecting because she had to realize that we sisters in real life. We're both human. Like, I'm a mom just like you're a mom. I have the same struggles as you have. And so when it's like I just stay who I am. I'm very down to earth. They may think I'm stuck up at first because I may look a certain way, but then they realize when they start talking to me like, oh, she's cool. So I really don't conform. I just simply just be me. I'm going to still talk to you because I'm here for the next 3 months and we have to talk to each other. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to stare at my hair long enough, I'm going to be like, girl, have you seen locks before? Like, this what these are. You can stop staring at them. And that can become a conversation. And that's what I said, the ice was thick to break, because they become uncomfortable when I just address it head on. But at the same time, they know they never really seen nothing like this, and it might be interesting to them. So it's kind of like I'm putting them on to something that they never seen up and close. They probably just seen on TV, in different areas with different cultures. So that's how kind of I am.
Well, in a sense, it's almost like you're a cultural activist of sorts.
Thought of it that way.
What happens is that people can be curious and people can be ignorant at the same time. I'm reflecting on being on the island of Okinawa long time ago. I don't even want to tell you how long ago it was because it was several decades ago. But this is a time when the Afro was coming into popularity. And I was with my mother at a marketplace on this island, and someone walked over to my mother and they wanted to reach up and grab her hair.
Ooh.
And it wasn't pretty. They didn't draw back a nub, but they probably got a look from my mother that let them know that what they were doing was extremely inappropriate and they weren't going to get away with it, But, sometimes that curiosity can be innocent and sometimes it can just be absolutely rude. So, I guess it's important for you to be able to navigate those things and try to help people to understand that you are more than what they see. And the most important aspect of you is a spirit inside you that moves you to be the one to provide that nurturing that they need.
I know we didn't cross this topic yet, but a lot of times when I start doing plant talk, because it just comes up because I love it so much, it's like an instant connection. Like, oh my God, you have this at home. What else you have? Next thing I know, phones are being whipped out. We showing each other pictures, and now we're vibing. It's like, yeah, we have different cultures, but we're the same.
Yeah, a chefalera is a chefalera no matter who's holding it. No matter who's wearing it. I mean, who has it, it's still the same plant. So, it can be that common bond, that common connector that people have and, relate to and then understand that you speak the same language. So they get this realization, hey, this is one of my kind.
Right. Exactly.
Interesting. We're going to talk plants when we get back. I'm sitting here looking at your website and I see this, the dandelions and the little white things are just flying off the plant. And folks be demonizing dandelions, but I'm going to be completely transparent and tell you that I'm cultivating a crop of dandelions in my lawn right now. And I'm not going to cut my grass because I know the bees need my dandelions.
Good for you.
And I also know that the leaves of that plant are going to end up in my blender blended with something else, and I'm going to get some magic from that. So we're going to talk about that and more when we get back. This is Open Door with Vince Robinson on 95.9 FM WOVU. My guest is Nook of Nook's Nursery, Plants and Herbs. She's a traveling nurse, and she's also a horticulturalist. We'll be back with more Open Door on 95.9 FM WOVU, Burton Belcar Community Radio.
Yo, what up? You already know what it is. Your boy DJ Christos. Yo, I got some important information to give you. Are you a resident living in a rental property or a landlord of rental properties within the city of Cleveland? Have you heard about the lead safe prevention efforts in Cleveland? Do you have questions about lead poisoning and why prevention is important? Don't know where to start? Don't know where to get help? Well, there's good news. There's training that is perfect for you, and the Lead Safe Resource Center is here to help answer all your questions. This training presents information on the Lead Safe Cleveland Coalition, the resources and teams available to support you, along with great information on who, what, when, where, and why for all things lead poisoning and prevention. And listen up, there's more. If you register now, you're eligible to receive a gift card. Yep, there's one gift card per adult attendee. Those interested can sign up via Eventbrite or by calling the Lead Safe Resource Center at 833-601-5323. That's 833-601-5323 and ask for Ashley Dunn. Thank you for listening to WOVU 95.9 FM, a Burton Bell Carr community radio station.
I chose Tri-C because they have great opportunities as far as academics mixing with internships. I started meeting people right away who I clicked with. And when I graduated, I received a full ride to Cleveland State and was able to start here as a junior. My name is Rebecca Groth. I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
Start now at tri-c.edu.
This message was brought to you by WOVU 95.9 FM, a Burton Bell Carr community radio station.
Welcome back. Vince Robinson with TaSanta Smith. She is the proprietor of Nook's Nursery, Plants and Herbs. And, you know, it's just kind of ironic that she has a nursery and she is a nurse, and she's talked to us profusely about the great joy and benefit that she gets from being able to nurture folks. But she also has a skill. She's got a green thumb, and she can bring plants back from the cusp of death. I want her to do some surgery on one of my plants. I don't know if you can bring this one back from the dead, but you know, I can always just go out and buy another plant, and you know, it'll take its place.
Yeah.
But we'll see. So talk to us about this special relationship with plants. Now, I don't have a degree in biology, but I know that plants take in carbon dioxide and they give off oxygen, and that's the crux of their benefit to us. But talk to us about this special relationship that we have with the plant kingdom.
Okay. Yes, you're absolutely right. So, you know how when you were little and your mom say, well, I know my mom did, you know, on a Saturday morning, it's time to clean the house. Get all the dead leaves off the windowsill and make sure you pick off the dead leaves. That was a part of our chores. I didn't hate it. I didn't like it. I just knew, okay, it makes the plant look better. And it just really stopped there. It's not like I could say I had a love of plants as a kid. But I moved when I moved to Shaker Heights. I had a beautiful bedroom. It had vaulted ceilings. The windows went from the floor to the ceiling. And then I had a balcony right off my bedroom. It was beautiful. So I don't know. It's this plant shop and nursery on Chagrin, Gailey's. And I think they just sold it here recently. But it's like a field trip. I go in Gailey's, I look at everything, and I don't really buy nothing. But something like, you know what? Your beautiful room will look nice with this plant. And it just truly started there. I didn't even know the benefits of the plants that I were buying at the time. I just know they make my room look cute. That's it. I was really just going for the decor. Then it became like an addiction. Like, okay, this is cute too. I want this hanging from my ceiling. Oh, this is nice too. All I did was worked on the floor UH. And then on my off days, I'm going up to Gailey's, buying up their stuff. So my room and my balcony become my oasis. Even then, I still didn't know all the things that the plants did for me. I just know it made me feel good. It was exciting. And that's just that. Like, plants have energy and makes us feel good, an instant mood lifter. So even then, I still didn't know what each plant did. Like you mentioned, the mother-in-law tongue, the snake plant, how it purifies the air. I didn't know any of that stuff. All I knew is it became a field trip. Me and my girlfriend, we'll grab coffee and we're raiding Home Depot, lawn and gardening. We're raiding Gailey's. Like, we were just going crazy. And so my girlfriends would come over and they'll chill with me on my balcony and have wine. And they loved it just as much as I did. Like, it became like almost a clubhouse, the balcony. That was what it was. And again, even then, I didn't know what exactly the plants were doing. I just know it just felt good to be outside on the balcony with the plants and the wine and my girlfriends. Shortly after, I started because I shared my yard with somebody. It was a 2-family. So I did have an in-ground garden, but I got tired of the animals tearing up my vegetables. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to add veggies to the balcony. So now it became a super big thing, like sitting in the vegetable garden on the balcony with having wine with my friends. And it just really took off from there. So people just really start asking, like, you know what? I seen you had this. How do you do that? And so that's where like the education started to be, I started looking into it myself. Like, hell, I don't know what it does. Let's look it up together. And that really became a thing. So I started being like the plant lady that had the balcony. And people would come to me with their questions and we'll figure it out together until someone said, could you take my plant and could you help me with it? And I think that's where it came into like, is this a business I'm doing here? Taking on people plants and giving it back to them healthy? It became a thing.
So that's part of your mission then, is not to just nurse people back to health, but nurse plants back to health.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. I'm hearing something else too. And when you talk about growing vegetables, and just thinking of it within the context of, a lot of the survivalist conversation that we're having right now, they're talking about food shortages being engineered.
Yeah.
So at some point, if this does become a reality, it's going to be important to have access to locally grown food. Now,
absolutely.
You could have your own garden, or you could know somebody who has a garden, but the bottom line is having an ability to cultivate produce is going to be a critical skill. So how do you see the future rolling out with respect to that?
My mother talks about that a lot. She said everybody needs to learn how to grow their own food. She wished they pushed us that more even in elementary school. So with that being said, I realized the importance of being able to grow your own produce. Even outside of my business, I had girlfriends and coworkers to say, well, could you grow me some greens? People are asking me to grow stuff for them. And I'm like, okay, I don't have a farm. I would love one. That's a whole nother conversation. But, I don't have enough room to just be growing everybody's greens for them. So what I started doing, once I established the Nursery, is I provide gardening services. I get the children involved. It's just a good thing. Everybody needs to know how to do it. So starting with my own 2 children, and I build our garden every year. And I call my son my little farmer. He don't really like it, but for some reason he's coming back to it. He's looking forward to it. So we're growing. We're growing all vegetables. And then my friend's like, well, can you come and can you build my garden? So the thing is with that, yes, I do come out into the communities and I do build gardens, but I like to educate you too, because you have to maintain it. You have to know what you're looking for, what grows with what, when to harvest. You know what I mean? And then it becomes a thing. Then they're passing it down to their children, or their children could become involved. A lot of kids aren't getting outside like we used to, but this will get them outside in the yard learning something that's very important, and it will stick with them. So right now I am offering gardening services. I do have a few friends, like you said, that's busy, because a lot of my friends does traveling nursing too, or just need work a lot, on the floor. And so they say, well, can you come maintain it? Yeah, I could do it. I could come and maintain. But at the same time, I want you to see what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Because the next year, the next season, it's exciting. You'll see what's coming back. And the harvest is very rewarding. So I just think now is the time.
Yeah, and it's also important for them to know how to maintain it, because you might get another 3-month assignment and you'll be gone. So
right.
If they don't
what?
Go ahead.
And the travel world is a lot. I think I'm going to take a break, and I'm really going to focus on this nursery and my patients here in the city.
Okay.
Yeah.
So talk to us about the basics that are involved in gardening. Let's say I just had this idea, I think I want to start gardening. What do I need to get started?
What you need to get started is realizing what your land look like, your house, your yard, not your house, I'm sorry. What's your yard? What kind of yard do you have? Is it big? Is it small? Um, Pay attention to how the sun is shining on your garden areas, like, on your grass. Do you get the rising sun or you get the setting sun? I think it's starting with just that. A lot of people fail, including myself, and failing is okay. Ready to just, let's dig in the ground or let's buy a box, throw it here, let's go. Um, Considering the size that you have to work with, whether it's a balcony like how I started, um, it could be on the front porch, the front yard, or the backyard. I think realizing what kind of space you're working with, you should start there. And then, of course, what kind of sunlight you get, because these my daughter calls them sproutlings, but they're really called seedlings. But when they are little sproutlings, they need all of the sun and they need lots of water. So I think it needs to start with noticing what type of sun do you get in the area that you live in, and what can survive in our zone, our area that we live in. So I believe we're in zone 6A. That's north, the northeastern region. We have to realize what can we harvest and what can we grow, because of course we can't grow things that California has or what Florida has. It should start there for certain.
Okay, so you need to do your homework to find out what you can grow and what you can't grow. What about supplies? What kinds of supplies do you need to engage in gardening?
Okay, so let's just start with the in-ground gardening, because it's a bit different. You have the natural ground and the soil, and you want to start with, of course, a shovel, a spade, something that you could just, break the ground with, and it could be easy to turn your ground over. And you know what? At first, it wasn't so fancy for me. I didn't even have a tiller. Like, I didn't even tilt the ground. I literally took my spade, dug up the ground. I think my landscapers end up helping me because they're stronger than I am. And we just chopped up the soil. I would say start with your spade. Also, topsoil. I find myself mixing the topsoil with the natural ground, just to give it good soil. You know what I mean? Sometimes you may have, like, I don't know, bad things in your ground, like, tons of weeds you need to pull up and stuff like that. Of course, the bugs help the garden. It's not like you need this perfect soil, I guess. You do need the bugs and stuff like that. However, topsoil is important to go mix in with the soil in the ground. And then I actually mix in potting soil too, because a lot of people may not like to start from seed. They like to go to the store and buy like the seedlings, the already little plants, the little vegetables like the tomatoes, the stuff you see at Home Depot and stuff like that. So I do get potting soil, and I make a good mix right there in a patch of the ground to give, because some of the potting soil have nutrients and nitrogen and stuff that plants need, and potassium to grow. So I give that a good mix. And just your preference. It could be seedlings. Those are easier for beginner gardeners. I have some friends that just sow the seeds right into the soil. And of course, they may take a little time to sprout up, but they give it a lot of time and energy. So I say for the beginner gardener, your soil, your shovel, and your seedlings of choice. And a water pail, because you need to water your garden. As far as the above ground gardening, which is kind of popular, everybody is tired of bending down and stuff like that. It's easier to plant above the ground if you have like a garden box. So with that, I just use potting soil, strictly potting soil. And you can choose your seedlings of choice, or you could plant your seeds right into the potting soil in your garden box.
Okay. I'm going to talk to you about hydroponics as well as some of your go-to plants, and we're going to talk about the magical properties of herbs. There's so much here. Time is flying, and we need to give folks some more understanding. And I have a great idea for you that I think can make you lots of money, and I'm going to tell you that when we get back.
Oh, yeah, sure.
This is Open Door with Vince Robinson on 95.9 FM WOVU. I'm with TaSanta Smith, and we'll be right back. 95.9 FM WOVU, Burton Belcar Community Radio.
Ohio is our home. and it's full of family we're proud to care for. With more than 200 locations, Cleveland Clinic is growing to bring world-class care to your community. From Canton to Avon, and coming soon to Mentor. Whether it's sniffles and sneezes or something more serious, big or small, we're always near you for every care in the world. Schedule your care today at clevelandclinic.org/access.
This message was brought to you by WOVU 95.9 FM, Burton Bell Carr Community Radio.
Hi, this is Wanda Harris from Warrensville Heights, Ohio, and you're listening to the best radio station in Cleveland, WOVU 95.9 FM, Burton Bell Carr Community Radio.
We're back. Open Door with Vince Robinson, and my guest, she is Nook. She has Nook's Nurseries, plants and herbs. And she's also a traveling nurse, and
Yes.
we've had quite an education on plants, and I want to continue that. But before we do that, I want to give you an idea, TaSanta.
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm all open.
I think you should write a book.
Okay.
I think you should do a how-to book. And you can use ChatGPT to do that, but you can also put TaSanta in that book. And I'm sure with the things that are going on this planet right now, people are going to want to know what you know. I'm not asking for 10% as your agent. I'm not asking for a percentage based on this idea that I gave you. But I promise you, you can go online. You can write a book in a matter of an hour or so if you really want to put that out there. And folks will monetize your idea and they'll learn how to grow something.
Absolutely. I'm all for it.
All right. So in our last segment, we were talking about soil, and you said you use the existing soil, you use topsoil, you use potting soil, you use different kinds of soil to be able to give plants an ability to grow. There's also this thing called hydroponics. Are you aware of it, and do you do anything hydroponically in terms of growing plants?
I do. I just started, you know what? I started a few years ago. With hydroponics, I have definitely grew, starting off with mint. I started with mint and oregano. Now, I did it on purpose too. I know before I said I started not knowing really the benefits of my houseplants, but I knew mint had good properties as far as like upset stomach, and it's refreshing, and it helps with with focus. I grew that, and I grew so much. It spreads, it grows, and it's easy to grow too. I made tea out of my mint. Lemonade, I'll add mint to lemonade, but the biggest thing I did was steeping it for tea, and I share it with tons of my coworkers. So I was just bringing it like every morning to UH, and we made tea right there at work with my fresh mint. Last year, I believe I did basil. Basil also contains antioxidants and great properties for us. So, yeah, this year I'm actually going to do more of the hydroponic gardening opposed to have done the previous years. So I will be adding in such things as lavender, like I mentioned, basil and sage, just so I could be able to use those herbs for the medicinal purposes and get that out into the community as well. Yes.
Those medicinal purposes, folks are sleeping on it, but when you get to having a compromised immune system and you get that oil of oregano.
Ooh, my cousin just told me about that. I didn't even know about it myself.
Yes. Well, it's nasty. It's not going to taste good. It's not going to be like the oregano that's flavoring your spaghetti sauce.
Right. Right.
But I'm telling you, it's some powerful stuff. There's a saying, let thy food be thy medicine. And you will find that if you eat the right kinds of things, you are able to maintain a certain modicum of health just because you're consuming things that are beneficial to you. The bottom line is the things that you take in, they're going to do one of two things. They're either going to hurt you or to help you. And because we look at so much refined food in our diets, those refined food products typically take away from the quality of our health. So what do? If you want to get rescued from that, well, then you have to rely on those plants.
Absolutely.
They sell millions and millions and millions of supplements, but the best source for the nutrients that you need is actually the plant itself. So that's why what you do is so important. And I can just imagine that when you were at the hospital and the folks were taking that tea with that mint in it, they were probably saying, wow, there's something special about this mint. It just seems mintier.
Right. It's fresh. And then, you know what? My coworkers, they were excited. It's kind of like brought excitement. Of course we can go to the grocery store and buy it, but to know that it grew and I literally just harvested this morning and brought it in. It was just something about that. It just was. My husband, I found out that I had high blood pressure last year. And it was probably because of some medicine, some other things I was doing. And I was freaking out about it. And he said, just juice some beets and an apple. It'll lower your blood pressure. And I looked at him. I'm like, for real? I didn't know. So what I do, I run a Giant Eagle. I'm buying a bunch of beets, apples. And last year I said, you know what? I'm growing my own beets. I'm just going to do it myself. Not knowing that, of course, the root of the beet and the leaves were medicinal for me. Like, I don't want to say, let's take away your amlodipine or your metoprolol that you take, that the doctors say take, but this aided in lowering my blood pressure. And I grew it right in the backyard. And I'll be doing that again this year. Like, my stuff is now in the soil in the house. But yeah, I think that we need to be educated on such things. And it's funny that you brought up your dandelions, Vince. I was talking to my landscaper, and you know what he said? You might want to go ahead and get the stuff, to kill the dandelions and stuff, get that out the yard. And I was like, bro, yeah, right. Like, I'm going to pick those, and all parts of it, like you mentioned, the leaves as well. But the way we were brought up, those are weeds. We need to get rid of them. Let's toss them, not knowing the effects of such things as dandelion, the root, the leaf, every part of it.
Well, that conspiracy was started by Scots. They sell the fertilizer and the weed killer and all of that, So people not understanding the value and the benefit, of things that are characterized as weeds, just like purslane. Purslane is a powerful plant. And I can look back on my years in this house and remember when I had it coming out of the cracks in my sidewalk, and I wanted to go out there and kill it. And now that I've done all that killing, the purslane ain't coming back.
Nope. Right.
And I'm like, man,
exactly. I
didn't know about the gold mine. Another short aside. I had something growing out of a thicket of bushes that are in front of my picture window. And I saw something that I thought was elderberries. I saw the same plant as I was walking through Bracknell and this nature preserve that they have over there. And I saw those plants growing over there. And I thought, wow, I got elderberries. Well, I did my research and I found out that it wasn't elderberry. It's actually a poisonous berry.
Oh, yeah.
That I don't need to have anything to do with.
Right.
But yeah, we are surrounded by things that are beneficial to us, and as we alluded to earlier, we may get to a point where we have these food shortages, and it's going to be incumbent upon us to know what is edible in our environment, and also to be able to cultivate things so that we will have a food supply that we don't have to depend on a grocery store or a convenience store, in order for us to meet our needs. Fascinating conversation. Talk to us about some of the plants that could be beneficial to have in your home.
Oh, wonderful. Let's do plant talk. So, the snake plant, not only is it air purifying, it's good in the bedroom because it could grow in different environments. It could grow in the dark, it could grow in a bright room, and it's drought tolerant. So, for a man like yourself that's busy, or for the travel nurse, or just for the mom or dad that's at work or may have to travel, whichever, that plant could go for a month or so without being watered. And it's actually a succulent. A lot of people don't know, and people can kill it by watering it too much. But it's good because it gives you great air, and it grows in the dark room and in the bright room. Also, let me think. What's one of my favorites? The golden pothos. That's a popular plant that a lot of people see like in days or Gianico, and it hangs, and it's beautiful because it grows pretty fast. That's also air purifying. And it's nice to have in different parts of your house, such as the kitchen, because it likes humidity, or in the bathroom. I have actually a golden pothos hanging in my bathroom. Of course, it's nice for the decor, but it grows well in human environments. What else? I'm actually trying to get into using the herbs not just for drying them out, but to allow them to actually flower, such as chamomile. You might not want to taste the chamomile tea, but it also give you the same effects if you just allow the herb to just be in a pot in your bedroom, in the windowsill. It still promotes a good night's sleep. And it smells really good.
Yes, lavender would do the same.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I actually wrote an ebook, Plant Energy, and I mentioned what plants to place in certain rooms if you want to shift the energy in your house. If you need healing, and if you're just having like a sad day, or if the family is in an uproar, what to place in your living spaces, such as a peace lily. Those plants are given at funerals and time of sorrow, and it's so crazy because it's always around us. I never realized why they give a peace lily, but what does it do for us? But it takes in the sad energy and puts out happiness, such as plants, could take in the carbon dioxide and give out energy. Plants does that with negative energy as well. I didn't even know that when I started out, but yeah.
All right. So you mentioned the ebook. Tell folks how they can get that ebook.
Sure thing. My website is www.nooksnursery.online. I have an ebook, Plant Energy. The bottom line is people are kind of getting back to the basics. The pandemic was a big shakeup. You realize people start getting outside more. I've never seen so many families take walks in their neighborhood. You do have the walkers, but everybody started just coming outside. They was tired of being inside. So people are now getting back to the basics, to wanting a zen, wanting that peace after going through such a crazy 3 years. And so I had a couple friends. It's always start with friends asking me, well, I've been feeling like this and I need to be feeling uplifted in my house. What plant to get? So I have a list of those, a list of plants that you can have that can shift the energy in your home, that can promote healing, good luck, prosperity, promote sleep, and, where to place them in your house, or how to start placing plants in the doorways and the foyers of your home to become inviting for you and your guests.
Okay. So there it is. There's the takeaway. And if you want more information, you can go to nooksnursery.online.
Yeah.
And you spell it NUKSNURSERY.online. And you can find out everything that you need to know about what plants to get and where to put them in your home to get the benefit.
Absolutely.
And one real quick aside, she is going to do a pop-up at Larchmere Arts on the day of Porch Fest. So stay tuned for more about that. You can come by Larchmere Arts and you can grab one of those plants and put it in your bedroom. TaSanta Smith, it's been an absolute joy to have you on the air this morning.
Thank you. I really enjoyed myself.
All right. Thank you for joining me. And for those who are listening, as always, know yourself, love yourself, be yourself. Make today your best day. Peace.